My chosen one, this is not an ordinary message. This is not coincidence. This is not random timing. Congratulations. A divine transfer has been approved in your name. But if you don't open this now, IT will be sent to someone else. Yes, you heard that correctly. A divine transfer. A brood. Stamped in the spiritual realm. And your name is on it. There are moments in history when heaven shifts something so powerful that destinies rearrange overnight. This is one of those moments. And if your spirit feels restless right now, if your heart is beating a little faster, if you almost scrolled past, but something pulled you back, that was not accident. That was divine interruption. Because this transfer is time-sensitive, it is not about money alone. It is not about material things alone. It is about position, favor, access, authority, restoration, compensation for what you endured in silence. For years, you have watched others receive what you prayed for. You stayed faithful when it looked foolish. You held your integrity when it cost you opportunities. You endured betrayal without becoming bitter. And heaven accorded every tear. But listen carefully, in the spiritual realm, transfers do not stay pending forever. When someone forfeits their obedience, when someone mismanages their assignment, when someone refuses their calling, heaven reallocates. And today, Archangel Michael stands as a witness to a decision that has already been signed. This is why the pressure around you has been intense. This is why certain people suddenly distance themselves. This is why doors that look promising close without warning. You thought you were losing. But in truth, a transfer was being prepared. There are blessings that cannot arrive until you are repositioned. There are opportunities that cannot land until certain attachments fall away. What felt like rejection was actually divine relocation. And here is the urgency. Divine transfers respond to readiness, not perfection, not popularity. Readiness. If you ignore this moment, if you shrink back into doubt, if you convince yourself you are not worthy, the opportunity does not disappear. It moves. Heaven is just. Heaven is strategic. Heaven is precise. Archangel Michael does not fight battles randomly. He fights where destiny matters. And there has been spiritual warfare around your name because what is being transferred carries influence. Someone else mishandled what was meant to glorify God. Someone else delayed what was meant to bless adoration. And now, because of your obedience in small unseen places, your name rose to the top of the list. But hear this clearly. Recognition requires response. You cannot receive what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot steward what you pretend is not yours. The enemy tried to exhaust you so you would miss this notification. He tried to distract you with minor problems so you would overlook major promotion. He whispered that nothing is changing. He whispered that you should lower your expectations. But why would you feel this stirring if nothing was shifting? Why would this message reach you at this exact moment? There are no accidents in divine timing. Right now, in the unseen realm, there is movement. Contacts being rewritten. Connections being rearranged. Conversations happening about you that you have no idea about. Favor being discussed in rooms you have never entered. This is the nature of a divine transfer. It arrives quietly before it manifests loudly. You may not see the evidence yet, but you feel the tension of transition. That tension is confirmation. Something old is releasing. Something new is aligning. But there is a condition. You must open it. Opening means agreement. Opening means expectation. Opening means stepping out of survival mode and into stewardship mode. You are not being invited to beg for blessing. You are being positioned to manage it. And if you hesitate too long, if you drown this out with distraction, heaven will not argue with your resistance. It will move forward with someone who says yes. That is not pressure. That is principle. Right now, I need you to understand something deeply. This is not about competition. It is about capacity. If you have capacity, the transfer stays. If you shrink, it shifts. Archangel Michael is not announcing this to scare you. He is announcing this to awaken you. Because you have underestimated what God can trust you with. You thought your season was small. You thought your obedience went unnoticed. You thought your sacrifices were forgotten. But heaven has a ledger, and your name is highlighted. What is coming will not look like how you imagined it. It may come disguised as responsibility before it looks like reward. It may come as an assignment before it feels like abundance. Do not misinterpret the packaging. Some transfers come as keys. Some come as platforms. Some come as restored relationships. Some come as sudden clarity. And some come as removal of what was blocking you. This is why you must stay spiritually alert. In the coming days, watch for unusual opportunities. Watch for unexpected confirmations. Watch for people who suddenly see your value. Watch for ideas that feel bigger than your current environment. These are not coincidences. These are indicators. But again, if you do not open this now, it will be sent to someone else. Heaven does not delay destiny for indecision. So breathe. Quiet the fear. Reject the lie that you are not ready. Because congratulations, the approval has already happened. The only question left is, will you step forward and receive it? My faithful one, what you are about to understand now will determine whether this divine transfer settles in your life or slips past your hands unnoticed. Because approval in heaven is one thing, but alignment on earth is another. The transfer has your name on it, but your mindset must match the magnitude of what is being released. You have been conditioned by delay, conditioned by disappointment, conditioned to expect all those blessings instead of full manifestation. And that conditioning is the very thing Archangel Michael is confronting right now. The battle was never just around your resources. It was around your perception. If the enemy can make you believe you are unqualified, you will disqualify yourself without resistance. But listen carefully. This transfer was not approved because you are flawless. It was approved because you remained faithful when quitting would have been easier. Every quiet prayer, every moment you chose integrity over impulse, every time you forgave when revenge would have felt justified, those moments built spiritual credibility. And credibility attracts promotion. Right now, unseen doors are responding to your name. There are conversations taking place that include you even though you are not physically present. This is how divine transfers begin. They move in whispers before they arrive in announcements. That restlessness you feel is not anxiety. It is preparation. However, here is the critical truth. When something larger than your past arrives, it will stretch you. And stretching can feel uncomfortable. It can feel uncertain. It can even feel like pressure. But pressure is often proof that something valuable is being formed. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over transitions. He does not only fight external battles, he strengthens internal resolve. And right now, your resolve is being fortified. Because what is being transferred is not small. It carries influence. It carries responsibility. It carries impact beyond what you can currently calculate. There will be tests of focus. Distractions will suddenly increase. Small irritations may try to drain your attention. Old voices may resurface to remind you of past failures. This is not random. When a transfer is imminent, resistance intensifies. Not because you are losing, but because you are advancing. You must become intentional now. Guard your thoughts. Guard your time. Guard your energy. The divine does not deposit into chaos. It settles where there is expectation and order. If you keep speaking defeat, you create conflict with what heaven has already declared over you. If you keep rehearsing your past, you delay your future. Something is shifting in your identity. You are moving from overlooked to entrusted, from waiting to stewarding, from hope to handling. And this shift requires participation. Do not minimize this moment. Do not treat it casually. Engage with it. Speak life over it. Pray over it. Prepare for it. Rearrange your habits if necessary. Because when the manifestation becomes visible, you must be ready to manage it without fear. And let me tell you something powerful. The fact that you are still listening right now means your spirit recognizes truth. There is confirmation happening within you. That quiet agreement. That subtle sense of this is for me. That is alignment. If this message resonates, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so it reaches others who are standing at the edge of their own transfer. Share it with someone who has been doubting their season. Leave a comment declaring that you are ready to receive. And make sure you subscribe and become part of this movement where heaven's messages are spoken boldly. When you engage, you are not just supporting content. You are amplifying divine strategy. Because this is bigger than one person. The transfer assigned to you may unlock doors for your family. It may break patterns that lasted generations. It may reposition your influence in ways that bless people you have never met. But here is what you must not do. Do not wait for visible proof before you act like it is done. Faith moves before evidence appears. Preparation happens before applause arrives. And there is something else. The transfer may not look like what you expected. It may begin disguised as an opportunity that feels slightly intimidating. It may begin as a conversation that challenges your comfort zone. It may begin as a responsibility that stretches your confidence. Do not misinterpret growth as threat. When Archangel Michael clears a path, he does not remove challenge. He removes obstruction. You will still walk forward. But the weight that used to block you will not have the same authority. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are positioned. And what happens next will confirm everything that has been spoken. Hold your attention here, because what unfolds from this point will reveal how the transfer manifests in ways you never saw coming. Beloved soul, now the veil lifts a little more, because you must understand why this divine transfer could not have been released to you last year, or even last month. Timing is not random in the kingdom of God. Timing is protection. If this had come earlier, you would have celebrated it without being prepared to sustain it. And what you cannot sustain, you eventually lose. Heaven does not promote to impress. Heaven promotes to establish. There were character refinements happening behind the scenes. Situations that felt unfair were actually strengthening your discernment. Delays that frustrated you were deepening your patience. Closed doors were teaching you to depend on divine direction rather than human validation. Archangel Michael has been standing guard over your growth, ensuring that when this transfer arrives, it does not crush you under its weight. Because what is coming carries influence, and influence requires maturity. You ask for elevation, but elevation exposes weaknesses. You prayed for expansion, but expansion tests discipline. That is why you went through hidden seasons where no one applauded you. That is why you felt overlooked while others seemed to advance faster. You were not being ignored. You were being fortified. Now the approval is active. In the spiritual realm, your name has moved from waiting to released. But there is still a response required on your end. This is the moment where many people falter. They celebrate the promise but neglect the preparation. They speak about destiny but resist responsibility. You must not make that mistake. The transfer may show up in a way that initially looks small. It might be a new opportunity that seems modest. It might be a connection that feels ordinary. It might be an idea that appears simple. But do not despise the form in which it arrives. Seeds never look like forests. Keys never look like kingdoms. Archangel Michael is emphasizing discernment right now. Ask God for clarity. Do not move impulsively. When the opportunity appears, pause and pray. Confirmation will follow peace. If anxiety is driving you, wait. If clarity surrounds you, step forward. There is also something else happening. And this transfer approaches, certain relationships may shift. Some people will feel uncomfortable around your new level of authority. Some will attempt to remind you of who you used to be. Do not argue with them. Do not shrink for them. Simply remain grounded. Promotion often reveals who was attached to your limitation rather than your growth. But hear this deeply. You are not being elevated to dominate others. You are being elevated to serve with greater impact. The divine transfer is not about ego. It is about assignment. Demonetized. You will handle it with humility. This is why Archangel Michael hath been fighting quietly on your behalf. Not to inflate your pride, but to secure your position. There will be a defining moment soon. A decision that feels small but carries long-term consequences. In that moment, choose courage. Choose obedience. Choose faith over familiarity. That choice will signal to heaven that you are ready to steward what has been approved. And understand this. The enemy cannot cancel what God has authorized. He can only attempt to distract you from receiving it. Doubt is the final obstacle. Fear is the last gatekeeper. If you step through them, the transfer settles. Right now, align your words with what has been declared. Speak gratitude before you see evidence. Speak confidence before circumstances confirm it. Gratitude accelerates manifestation. Complaint delays it. Your obedience in the next few days matters more than you realize. Guard your spirit from negativity. Limit exposure to voices that belittle vision. Spend time in prayer. Invite Archangel Michael's protection over your decisions. Ask for wisdom. Ask for boldness. Ask for clarity. And then move when peace confirms. This is not a fantasy. This is not exaggeration. This is divine orchestration. You were chosen because you stayed when others left. You were selected because you endured without becoming bitter. You were approved because you honored God in private when no one else noticed. And now heaven responds. If this message confirms what your spirit has already sensed, seal it with agreement. Type "I receive the transfer" in the comments if this is speaking directly to your heart. Blessing code 3147 has just been released over your life. Declare it. Receive it. Walk in it. And as this divine transfer unfolds, understand something sacred. When you support the spreading of messages like this, you become part of the very transfer heaven is executing. The word says that when you sow into fertile ground, you reap a harvest pressed down and overflowing. God is speaking that promise over you right now. When you release a super thanks, join membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, You are not funding a platform. You are fueling a movement that reaches souls standing at the edge of their breakthrough. I feel led to say this. I choose to be a vessel that multiplies what God is doing. If that is your declaration, act on it now. Do not let this moment pass as ordinary. Those who give in obedience during divine shifts step into uncommon favor. Release your seed and watch heaven respond. Precious one, something is beginning to rearrange itself around you, and if you are not spiritually alert, you might misinterpret it as instability. But this is not instability. This is divine restructuring. When a transfer is approved in your name, systems must adjust. Patterns must shift. Old alignments must loosen their grip so that new authority can settle in place. This is the phase where many grow uneasy, because before the manifestation becomes visible, the environment begins to change. You may notice that conversations feel different. Certain routines no longer satisfy you. Goals that once excited you now feel too small. That is not confusion. That is expansion pressing against limitation. Archangel Michael is not only a warrior, he is a guardian of divine order. And right now, order is being restored in areas of your life that have long been out of alignment. Things that drained you will slowly lose access. Doors that once resisted you will begin to respond. But in between these shifts, there can be a temporary silence. Do not fear the silence. Silence often means negotiations are happening in the unseen. Heaven does not rush what carries generational impact. The transfer attached to your name has consequences beyond your immediate comfort. It will affect your household. It will influence people connected to you. It may even redirect the legacy of your family line. This is why your preparation matters so deeply. Ask yourself honestly, are you thinking like someone who has already received the transfer? Or are you still operating from scarcity? Because mindset is the container. If your thinking remains limited, you will struggle to sustain what is unlimited. There is a difference between wanting something and being ready to manage it. You have wanted change for years. Now readiness is being tested. Readiness shows up in discipline. It shows up in consistency. It shows up in quiet obedience when no one is watching. You may feel an unusual urge to organize, to plan, to reflect. Follow that leading. Preparation is prophetic action. When you clean your environment, when you restructure your schedule, when you release toxic habits, you are making space. And space invites settlement. There is also a deeper layer to this transfer. It is not only external, it is internal. Confidence that once felt fragile is strengthening. Boundaries that once felt difficult are becoming natural. Your voice is finding steadiness. These are signs that authority is anchoring itself within you. Archangel Michael has been fortifying your inner world so that external increase does not intimidate you. But be warned of this subtle trap. When signs of progress begin appearing, pride may attempt to attach itself. You might be tempted to think this is happening because of your strength alone. Reject that thought immediately. Humility protects promotion. Gratitude stabilizes growth. The divine transfer is not a trophy. It is a trust. In the coming days, you may receive an unexpected opportunity. It could involve collaboration, leadership, or financial movement. At first glance, it might appear risky, but risk and faith often stand side by side. The key difference is peace. If peace accompanies the risk, step forward carefully and prayerfully. Do not consult fear for advice. Fear only remembers past failures. Faith anticipates future fulfillment. You must also guard your speech. Words carry creative power. If you speak doubt, you energize delay. If you speak belief, you activate alignment. Begin declaring that you are capable. Declare that you are positioned. Declare that you are entrusted. There may be people who question your sudden shift. They may not understand how quickly things begin to open for you. Do not feel obligated to explain divine favor. Not everyone will comprehend the battles you fought in silence. Not everyone saw the nights you prayed when no one applauded. But heaven saw, and heaven responds. The restructuring phase can feel uncomfortable because it removes familiarity. But familiarity kept you small. This divine transfer requires new territory, new thinking, new courage. Lean into it. Spend time in prayer each morning, even if only for a few minutes. Invite clarity. Invite protection. Invite discernment. When you consciously align yourself daily, you reduce confusion and increase direction. And understand something powerful. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is compensation. Not in the sense of repayment alone, but in the sense of restoration. What was delayed is being reallocated. What was mishandled by others is being reassigned to you. That is why the title was so urgent. If you do not open it, it will be sent to someone else. Not because heaven is cruel, but because heaven is purposeful. You have been given a window, a sacred opportunity to rise into what has already been approved. The next phase will reveal how boldly you are willing to step into it. And when it begins to manifest in tangible ways, you will look back at this moment and realize that this was a turning point. Warrior of faith, there is a reason the atmosphere around you feels charged, as if something invisible is pressing against the surface of your reality. This is the tension between what has been approved and what is about to appear. The divine transfer is no longer distant. It is approaching the threshold of manifestation. But thresholds test identity. You cannot cross into new territory while clinging to old definitions of yourself. For years, you identified with survival. You became strong because you had to endure. You learned to expect little so disappointment would hurt less. Yet now, heaven is inviting you to think like a steward instead of a survivor. Survivors protect what little they have. Stewards multiply what they are entrusted with. That shift is everything. Archangel Michael has not been fighting random battles around you. He has been clearing legal ground in the spiritual realm. Accusations that once hovered over your past have lost authority. Regret that once whispered in your ear has been silenced. The warfare you experienced was proof that your future carrying weight. No one fights for empty territory. And the resistance you felt was confirmation that something valuable had your name on it. As this transfer draws closer, clarity will begin replacing confusion. You will notice patterns. Pieces of your past will suddenly make sense. The rejection you experienced will reveal itself as redirection. The delay that frustrated you will prove to have been protection. Perspective is one of the first fruits of divine alignment. Yet do not assume the enemy will retreat quietly. There may be one final attempt to intimidate you. A sudden wave of doubt. An unexpected challenge. A conversation designed to shake your confidence. This is not a sign that the transfer has been cancelled. It is a sign that it is near. Before major shifts, there is often a final test. Will you react in fear, or will you respond in faith? Responding in faith does not mean denying reality. It means interpreting reality through the lens of promise rather than panic. It means remembering what hath been spoken over you when circumstances temporarily look uncertain. There is something else you must understand. The divine transfer may involve visibility. You may find yourself placed in situations where your voice carries more weight, where your decisions influence others, where your presence is noticed. If you have been accustomed to staying hidden, this visibility might feel uncomfortable, but you cannot carry influence in secrecy forever. Archangel Michael strengthens those who step into visible assignments with humility. He shields them from unnecessary harm when their motives remain pure. Keep your motives clean. Let your desire be service, not status. When your heart remains aligned, protection follows. You are also being invited to release comparison. The transfer assigned to you is specific. It is tailored to your calling, your experiences, your resilience. If you compare it to someone else's journey, you will distort its value. Trust the design. Heaven does not duplicate destinies. As signs begin to surface, do not rush ahead recklessly. Move with measured confidence. Pray before you respond. Seek wisdom before you commit. But once clarity settles, do not hesitate. Delayed obedience weakens momentum. Momentum is building around you now. You may sense increased creativity, ideas flowing more easily, solutions appearing where obstacles once stood. This is evidence that alignment is happening internally. When your inner world aligns, your outer world follows. Guard your gratitude. Gratitude is a stabilizer. It prevents pride from entering and keeps your heart soft. Thank God daily for what is coming, even before you see it. Thank Him for choosing you as a steward of this transfer. Gratitude attracts continuation. And listen carefully to this truth. The transfer may not only change your circumstances, it may redefine your circle. As you rise, some connections will naturally fade, not out of conflict, but out of difference in direction. Do not grieve what cannot travel where you are going. Every elevation requires adjustment. You are not losing people, you are gaining alignment. The urgency in the original declaration still stands. If you do not open this now, it will be sent to someone else. Opening means embracing transformation. It means letting go of comfortable limitation. It means saying yes even when the details are not fully visible. You have prayed for this moment more times than you remember. You asked for breakthrough. You asked for restoration. You asked for increase. Now the answer is unfolding. Stand steady. Do not shrink. Do not doubt the approval that has already been stamped in your name. What approaches next will begin to make the unseen visible. And when it does, you will realize that every struggle prepared you to carry what is finally arriving. Child of destiny, the atmosphere is shifting again, and this phase requires sharper discernment than anything before it. You are no longer simply preparing for the transfer. You are beginning to stand at the doorway of it. And doorways are sacred spaces. They separate who you were from who you are becoming. Right now, subtle confirmations are appearing around you. Small victories, unexpected encouragement, tiny breakthroughs that seem insignificant at first glance. Do not dismiss them. These are previews. Heaven often releases fragments before the full manifestation arrives, not to tease you, but to strengthen your faith. Archangel Michael is standing guard at this doorway, ensuring that what enters your life is aligned with divine order. But you must cooperate. You must resist the temptation to rush ahead or fall back into hesitation. Balance is required. There is a rhythm to divine movement. Too fast, and you stumble. Too slow, and you miss alignment. So how do you stay in rhythm? By listening more than reacting. By praying before responding. By observing before speaking. This is not a season for impulsive decisions. It is a season for strategic obedience. You may notice that certain distractions are intensifying. Notifications, conversations, unexpected responsibilities, minor conflicts. These are not coincidences. Distraction is one of the final tools used to weaken focus before a breakthrough. If your attention can be scattered, your discernment becomes blurred. Guard your focus. What you concentrate on grows stronger. If you focus on fear, fear extends. If you focus on expectation, expectation strengthens. There may also be a subtle attempt to pull you back into old habits, old coping mechanisms, old thought patterns, familiar doubts. This is the comfort zone trying to reclaim you. But remember, comfort zones cannot contain divine transfers. They are too small for what has been approved. Archangel Michael strengthens those who choose courage over comfort. Courage is not loud. It is quiet and consistent. It shows up when you say yes to growth even when growth feels uncertain. And here is something crucial. You are not stepping into this alone. The same God who approved the transfer will sustain you in it. The same grace that kept you in hidden seasons will empower you in visible ones. But participation matters. Speak differently now. Think differently now. Prepare differently now. If you have been procrastinating on something important, handle it. If you have been delaying a necessary conversation, approach it with wisdom. If you have been neglecting your spiritual discipline, return to it. These adjustments are not random. They are alignment mechanisms. You may feel moments of overwhelming anticipation, almost as if something is about to happen, but you cannot see what it is yet. That feeling is not anxiety. It is spiritual awareness. Your spirit recognizes movement before your eyes do. Stay steady. Stay grounded. And remember why this message reached you in the first place. A divine transfer had been approved in your name. But approval alone does not guarantee manifestation. Engagement does. If this message is strengthening your faith, do not remain silent. Like this video so it reaches someone else standing at their own doorway. Share it with a friend who had been waiting for confirmation. Leave a comment declaring that you are ready to step forward. Subscribe if you have not already, and become part of this growing community that refuses to miss divine timing. When you engage, you are not just interacting with content. You are amplifying alignment for others who need it. And listen closely to this. Something specific is about to shift. It may come as an email, a call, an opportunity, an idea, or an unexpected resolution. When it arrives, it will feel both surprising and strangely familiar. Familiar because your spirit has already been prepared. You not second guess what brings peace. Peace is the signature of alignment. The doorway is open now. You can sense it. You can feel the pressure of possibility. This is where many hesitate, wondering if they are truly ready. But readiness is not about having every answer. It is about having faith in the one who called you forward. Take a breath. Release doubt. And position yourself to walk through. What unfolds next will confirm that this was not imagination, not emotion, not coincidence. It was orchestration. And you are standing exactly where you are meant to be. Anointed one, you have now stepped into the most delicate stage of this divine unfolding. The approval has been declared. The preparation has been activated. The doorway has opened. Now comes the crossing. And crossings require boldness. There is a difference between standing at an open door and actually walking through it. Many celebrate opportunity but hesitate when movement is required. This is where destiny separates itself from delay. The divine transfer attached to your name is no longer theoretical. It is practical. It will demand action. You may begin to notice that circumstances are aligning in ways you did not orchestrate. Timing is synchronizing. Conversations are flowing more easily. Obstacles that once felt immovable are quietly dissolving. This is not coincidence. This is coordination in the unseen realm becoming visible in your reality. Archangel Michael does not fight aimlessly. When he clears a path, it is because heaven has already determined the direction. The battles that once exhausted you are losing their grip. The resistance that once intimidated you is weakening. And you might find yourself asking, why does this feel easier now? It feels easier because clearance has been granted. But do not confuse ease with effortlessness. You will still need to show up. You will still need to commit. You will still need to choose courage when comfort calls your name. The difference now is that the weight opposing you has been reduced. There is also a deeper internal crossing taking place. You are letting go of the version of yourself that doubted your own capacity. For years, you minimized your gifts. You downplayed your insight. You hesitated to step forward because you feared criticism or rejection. That version of you cannot cross into what have been approved. Confidence is not arrogance. It is agreement with what God has declared. And God has declared that you are capable. The transfer may begin to manifest in a way that stretches your schedule, your focus, or your responsibilities. Do not interpret the stretch as punishment. Stretching increases capacity. Capacity sustains increase. There may also be moments when you feel exposed, as if more is being expected from you than before. That is because more is being entrusted to you than before. Entrustment requires visibility. Visibility requires accountability. Archangel Michael strengthens those who accept accountability with humility. Do not resist correction if it comes. Do not reject feedback if it refines you. Refinement protects longevity. You are stepping into a season where consistency will matter more than intensity. Quick bursts of passion will not sustain what is coming. Steady commitment will. Show up daily. Even when excitement fluctuates. Even when motivation dips. Faithfulness builds legacy. And listen closely to this truth. The transfer is not just for you. It is through you. What has been approved in your name will overflow into the lives of others. Your obedience will unlock doors for people connected to you. Your growth will inspire those watching quietly from a distance. That is why the warfare was so intense. Your elevation carries collective impact. You may also notice that clarity is sharpening. Decisions that once confused you now seem obvious. Boundaries that once felt difficult now feel necessary. This is spiritual maturity stabilizing within you. You are no longer negotiating with your own worth. The crossing demands that you leave something behind. Old narratives. Old insecurities. Old definitions. If you attempt to carry them forward, they will slow you down. Release them willingly. You are not who you were. And you cannot operate as if you are still in that old season. There is momentum building now. A quiet acceleration. You may feel both anticipation and responsibility at the same time. The tension is normal. It is the sign of growth. Do not retreat. Do not downplay what is happening. And do not allow fear to interpret your expansion as danger. Archangel Michael stands as confirmation that protection accompanies promotion. You are not walking into chaos. You are walking into alignment. The title declared urgency for a reason. If you do not open this now, it will be sent to someone else. Opening means movement. Movement means crossing. And crossing means trust. This is the moment to trust. Trust the preparation you have walked through. Trust the approval that has been spoken. Trust the strength that has been built within you. Because what unfolds next will not feel like a small adjustment. It will feel like stepping into a new dimension of responsibility and reward. And when you look back, you will recognize this crossing as the line between who you were and who you were always meant to become. Chosen vessel, the crossing has begun, and now you are feeling the weight of what it truly means to carry something that heaven has approved. This is not a light assignment. This is not a casual blessing. This is a divine transfer with substance, and substance requires structure. You may already sense it. A new level of awareness, a heightened sensitivity to your choices, an understanding that your decisions now echo further than before. That awareness is not pressure meant to crush you. It is responsibility meant to elevate you. When God transfers something into your hands, He also transfers expectation. Not expectation rooted in fear, but expectation rooted in trust. You were trusted with this because you have been tested, and you passed tests you did not even realize were examinations. Archangel Michael has stood watch during those silent trials. When you were tempted to compromise but did not. When you were overlooked but remained faithful. When you were hurt but refused to become hardened. Those moments built the spiritual infrastructure necessary to sustain what is now arriving. But here is the sacred tension of this stage. Now that you are stepping into it, you may feel moments of vulnerability. You may think, what if I fail now? That thought is natural, but it must not be entertained. The same grace that qualified you will carry you. Failure is not the expectation. Faithfulness is. The transfer may show up as increased influence, increased resources, or increased opportunity. It may manifest as authority in spaces where you once felt invisible. Do not shrink when that happens. Stand with humility, but stand firmly. You are not an imposter in this season. You are appointed. An appointment demands alignment. This is where discipline becomes your ally. Manage what you receive wisely. If it is financial increase, steward it with wisdom. If it is relational influence, guard it with integrity. If it is leadership, exercise it with compassion. Every transfer carries accountability. Archangel Michael protects those who protect their calling. Do not expose sacred things to careless voices. Not everyone needs access to what God is building in you. Share selectively. Move strategically. You may also begin to see the ripple effect. People responding differently to you. Opportunities gravitating toward you. Respect increasing in subtle ways. Do not let it intoxicate you. Let it humble you. Remember the nights you prayed for this. Remember the tears you shed when nothing seemed to move. Let gratitude remain louder than achievement. There is another layer unfolding here. As the transfer stabilizes, clarity about your assignment will sharpen. You will begin to see how your experiences were not random. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was training. What once looked like chaos was curriculum. You were being educated for stewardship. Now the classroom becomes the field. And in this field, consistency will matter more than excitement. Continue praying. Continue seeking guidance. Continue inviting Archangel Michael's protection over your decisions. Success without spiritual grounding becomes fragile. But success rooted in alignment becomes sustainable. You are no longer waiting for something to happen. You are participating in something happening. A shift changes everything. You are not on the sidelines of your destiny. You are in motion. If this message confirms the shift you are experiencing, seal it with action. Type "I accept the appointment" in the comments if you feel this is your moment. Blessing code 8821 has just been activated over your life. Receive it with boldness. Declare it with faith. And as you step into this appointed season, understand something profound. When you sow into the spreading of messages like this, you are participating in someone else's divine transfer. Scripture declares that as you pour out, it will be poured back to you in abundance. God is speaking that promise directly over you right now. When you release a super thanks, step into membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a river that carries living water to thirsty souls. Let this be your declaration. I choose to be a conduit of heaven's movement. Do not hesitate. Act in faith. Those who respond during appointed seasons experience multiplied harvest. So now and watch how God honors your obedience. The next phase will reveal how this appointment reshapes not just your circumstances, but your identity at its core. Faithful carrier of promise. What you are experiencing now is the settling of what has been transferred. The initial excitement may have softened, and the dramatic anticipation may have quieted, but something deeper is taking root. This is the phase where the blessing becomes lifestyle, not just event. Many people celebrate when something is approved. Fewer remain steady when it must be maintained. You are entering the maintenance of miracle, and maintenance requires maturity. The divine transfer was never meant to be a temporary spark. It was meant to be an enduring flame. Flames must be tended. They must be protected from winds of distraction and guarded against the subtle drip of complacency. Archangel Michael does not only clear the battlefield, he teaches endurance after victory. Now that you have stepped into this new level, consistency becomes your shield. The enemy may not attack with intensity anymore. Instead, he may attempt erosion. Small compromises, gradual neglect. Avoid drift. Do not drift. Stay anchored in the habits that brought you here. Continue praying even when things feel stable. Continue seeking wisdom even when decisions feel easier. Stability can become a trap if it leads to spiritual laziness. There is also a recalibration happening within you. You are adjusting to your new capacity. Tasks that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable. Conversations that once intimidated you now feel natural. That is growth becoming visible. But growth must remain humble. You may begin to see people approaching you differently. Some will seek your advice. Some will ask for your support. Some will quietly observe how you handle this new level. Your response matters. Lead with compassion. Remember what it felt like to stand where they are standing. Influence is not proven by control. It is proven by service. The divine transfer may also begin revealing its full scope. What first looked like one opportunity may unfold into multiple layers. What began as a single connection may branch into wider networks. Expansion often hides within initial steps. Do not limit what God is unfolding by assuming you already understand it fully. Archangel Michael strengthens those who remain teachable. Keep learning. Keep refining. Keep stretching your understanding. This season is not the finish line. It is a foundation. And here is something critical. Protect your peace. Peace is the environment where wisdom thrives. If something consistently disrupts your peace without purpose, reevaluate its place in your life. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every opportunity deserves pursuit. Discernment will guard longevity. You may also experience moments of reflection where you realize how far you have come. Allow yourself to acknowledge progress. Gratitude fuels perseverance. When you recognize what has shifted, you strengthen your faith for what is still ahead. Yet remain alert. Success can attract imitation. Not everyone celebrating you is aligned with you. Some will admire the outcome without respecting the process. Do not be suspicious, but be wise. Archangel Michael stands as guardian, But you must also exercise caution. The transfer in your name was never meant to isolate you, but it will refine your circle. You may feel drawn toward deeper, more meaningful connections rather than wide, shallow ones. That is natural. Depth sustains destiny. As this season stabilizes, you might feel a subtle stirring again, a sense that this is not the final elevation. You would be correct. Divine transfers often come in layers. What you are stewarding now prepares you for what will follow. But do not rush to the next layer prematurely. Master this one. Faithfulness in the current assignment unlocks the next authorization. You are no longer asking whether the transfer is real. You are living in its evidence. That shift alone should strengthen your confidence. What was once prophecy is now practice. Stay vigilant. Stay grateful. Stay aligned. The story unfolding in your life is not accidental. It is authored with intention. And as you continue walking in this new dimension, something even more unexpected begins to prepare itself behind the scenes. Because when heaven transfers once and you steward it well, heaven considers transferring again. And what approaches next will require even deeper trust, even sharper focus, and even greater surrender. But you are no longer the same person who first heard the announcement. You are stronger now, wiser now, anchored now, and ready for what unfolds next. Beloved steward, just when you thought the movement had settled, another layer begins to unfold. This is the dimension few talk about, the responsibility of protecting what has already been transferred while preparing for what is still approaching. You are no longer in the phase of doubt. You are in the phase of guarding. Guarding does not mean living in fear. It means living in awareness. When something divine is approved in your name and you have successfully stepped into it, the next assignment is preservation. Preservation of character, preservation of focus, preservation of alignment. Because the enemy rarely tries to snatch what is obvious. He attempts to erode what is established. You may feel a subtle pressure to relax spiritually now that results are visible. That is the test. Consistency after breakthrough proves maturity more than faith during struggle. Archangel Michael does not withdraw protection when you succeed. He intensifies strategy. But strategy requires partnership. You must remain prayerful. You must remain disciplined. You must remain intentional with your words and actions. There is also a new confidence emerging within you. Not the fragile confidence of wishful thinking, but the grounded confidence of experience. You have seen confirmation. You have witnessed alignment. You know now that the approval was real. But do not let familiarity reduce reverence. What you carry is sacred. You may notice new opportunities attempting to attach themselves to your current level. Some will be aligned. Some will be distractions dressed as advancement. Not every open door is divine. Discernment is crucial in this phase. Pause before saying yes. Ask for clarity before committing. Peace remains your compass. Another shift is happening internally. Your tolerance for mediocrity is decreasing. Things that once satisfied you now feel insufficient. This is not dissatisfaction rooted in greed. It is growth demanding expansion. But expansion must be ordered. If you stretch too quickly without foundation, cracks appear. If you grow steadily with wisdom, strength increases. Archangel Michael strengthens ordered growth. And there is something else you must recognize. People are watching how you handle this level. Quiet observers, silent learners. Your consistency is teaching without you realizing it. The way you respond under pressure, the way you manage increase, the way you stay grounded. These are sermons without words. Do not underestimate your example. If this message is strengthening you right now, engage with it. Like this video so it reaches others who need reinforcement in their season of stewardship. Share it with someone navigating their own elevation. Leave a comment declaring that you are committed to guarding what God has placed in your hands. And if you have not yet subscribed, do it now and become part of a community that refuses to mishandle divine timing. Your engagement spreads alignment further than you know. Now listen carefully. The urgency from the beginning still echoes. If you do not open this, it will be sent to someone else. Opening was not a one-time act. It is a continual posture. Every day you choose obedience, you are opening the transfer again. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reaffirm your stewardship. This is not about paranoia. It is about persistence. The next wave preparing behind the scenes is larger than the first, and heaven evaluates how you manage this current dimension before releasing the next. You are being observed, not by critics but by divine order. Stay humble. Stay hungry for wisdom. Stay alert to subtle shifts. You may soon face a decision that determines whether expansion multiplies or stabilizes. Neither is wrong, but only one will align with your assignment. That is why you must remain spiritually tuned. Hold your focus here, because what unfolds next will reveal how legacy begins forming from what was once just a promise. The next revelation will challenge you to think beyond temporary success and into generational impact. Servant of divine assignment, what is forming now is greater than a season of blessing. It is the architecture of legacy. The transfer that was approved in your name was never meant to stop at personal elevation. It was meant to establish something that outlives applause, outlasts trends, and extends beyond your immediate circle. Legacy thinking changes how you move. When you think only about survival, you protect yourself. When you think about success, you expand yourself. But when you think about legacy, you build beyond yourself. That is the shift happening within you right now. You are beginning to ask deeper questions. Not just how can I grow, but how can this endure? Not just how can I benefit, but how can this bless? Those questions are evidence that maturity has anchored itself in your spirit. Archangel Michael does not guard temporary assignments with this level of intensity. He guards movements that echo across generations, and what you are stewarding now has echo potential. You may notice a refining of your priorities. Certain pursuits feel less important. Certain distractions lose their appeal. You are not becoming detached from life. You are becoming aligned with purpose. Time feels more valuable. Conversations feel more intentional. Decisions feel weightier. This is what it means to carry something sacred. There may also be moments of quiet reflection where you realize how drastically your internal world has changed. The fear that once paralyzed you has softened. The doubt that once whispered constantly has grown faint. You no longer react from insecurity. You respond from awareness. The transformation is part of the transfer. The blessing was not only external. It was internal fortification. But legacy demands one more layer: endurance. There will be days when enthusiasm dips. Days when progress feels slow. Days when the responsibility feels heavier than the reward. Those are the days that define legacy. Anyone can celebrate at the beginning. Few remain consistent in the middle. Archangel Michael strengthens endurance through discipline. Discipline is not glamorous. It is quiet, repetitive, steady, but it is the bridge between approval and permanence. Guard against burnout. Rest strategically. Seek renewal intentionally. Divine assignment does not require exhaustion. It requires sustainability. Pace yourself. Wisdom preserves longevity. You may also begin to mentor without formally realizing it. Someone is watching how you handle pressure. Someone is learning from your resilience. Someone is gaining courage because of your consistency. Your life is becoming instruction. That is legacy in motion. And here is something deeper. The transfer may soon reveal an opportunity to plant something that continues beyond you. It might be a project, a structure, a vision, a community, or a system that carries forward what you have learned. Do not shrink from that responsibility. You were not elevated to occupy space. You were elevated to create space. There is humility in that realization, because legacy is not about your name being remembered. It is about God's faithfulness being demonstrated through your obedience. Stay grounded. Stay teachable. Stay aligned. The urgency from the beginning still echoes softly beneath everything. If you do not open this, it will be sent to someone else. Opening now means expanding your perspective beyond today. It means thinking generationally. It means asking, how can I steward this in a way that multiplies even after I step aside? That question unlocks higher levels of wisdom. You are no longer wondering whether the transfer was real. You are living inside its evidence. And the evidence is not just visible in your circumstances. It is visible in your character. What began as a shocking announcement has matured into steady transformation. But one final layer remains. A culmination. A ceiling. And what unfolds next will not just affirm that the transfer was approved. It will reveal why it was entrusted to you in the first place. Anointed heir of divine purpose. This is the culmination of what was declared from the very beginning. What started as an urgent announcement has now become a living reality within you. The divine transfer that was approved in your name was never only about blessing. It was about alignment, trust, and fulfillment of assignment. You have crossed the threshold. You have guarded what was entrusted. You have matured in ways you did not expect. And now you understand something deeper than excitement. You understand responsibility. The urgency in the title was not exaggeration. It was revelation. If you did not open it, it would have been sent to someone else. It was never meant to frighten you. It was meant to awaken you. Because destiny requires participation. Heaven releases. You respond. That partnership creates manifestation. Look at who you are now compared to when this message first reached you. Your posture has shifted. Your thinking has expanded. Your confidence has stabilized. You are no longer asking if you are worthy. You are walking as someone entrusted. That is transformation. Archangel Michael has stood as guardian through every stage of this process. Through doubt, through preparation, through crossing, through stewardship, and now through establishment. What has been transferred to you is secure because you have aligned yourself with divine instruction. But understand this clearly. This was not the final destination. This was activation. The transfer positioned you. Now your obedience sustains you. The story continues beyond this moment, but it continues with you operating at a higher level of awareness. There will still be challenges. There will still be growth. But you will face them differently. Not as someone desperate for approval, but as someone already approved. Not as someone chasing validation, but as someone carrying assignment. The divine transfer was proof that heaven trusts you. That trust is sacred. Guard it. Honor it. Multiply it. And remember why it was given. It was not only to elevate you. It was to extend impact through you. Every decision you make from this point forward has ripple effects. Every act of integrity strengthens the foundation. Every moment of gratitude reinforces the blessing. Do not return to old mentalities. Do not downplay what God has done. Do not forget the urgency that awakened you. Instead, walk boldly. Speak confidently. Act wisely. You opened it. You received it. You stewarded it. And now you are established. If this message has marked your spirit, seal it with declaration. Type "I walk in divine trust" in the comments if you know this was meant for you. Blessing code 9903 has now been released and sealed over your life. Carry it with reverence. Walk in it with authority. And now hear this as a continuation of the very transfer you received. The same God who approved something in your name is still moving across the earth, seeking vessels who will help carry His word to others standing at their own doorway. Scripture declares that when you sow beside many waters, your harvest will not fail. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about fueling a fire that reaches souls who almost miss their moment. Let this rise within you. I will be part of what God is spreading. When you release a super thanks, step into membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are planting into living ground that multiplies eternally. Do not delay obedience. Move now. Those who give during divine momentum step into multiplied grace. Act with boldness and watch how heaven responds to your seed. The transfer was approved. You opened it. And now you walk in it.